Hey there, Simone here with Bulletproof Business Growth, as always with some ideas and insights for what to pay attention to when you are about to get ready to grow and scale your business, because there's a lot of really important stuff that has to be in place. Now, we've been talking about this for a few weeks now, or basically all year, but you know what I'm talking about when I'm saying the great resignation, quiet quitting, the great reset. But all that is the reality right now. We have a really, really different environment today in terms of hiring people and retaining people. And y'all know what's the most important thing about a business is they're great people. That's the greatest assets, the greatest value, the greatest investment you will ever make in your business. So we have to ask ourselves in terms of how the business environment, how the hiring environment has shifted, what have we learned? And what do we need to do to go forward in the most powerful way, in the most impactful way? So first of all, we have to really understand. So there are a lot of people who have left the work environment, a lot of people, more people than ever, have started their own businesses. And for a lot of our service-based businesses, this has created a huge problem, because that means suddenly there are no people available to hire. Or people get hired, they get all the information, they get all the training, they get all the good stuff from you, and then they leave and start their own shop, which has happened to a lot of the clients who are coming in to work with us. And we're helping them figure out how to change that reality, which is actually very possible. So first of all, we have to understand, what do people really want? Like, why would they go from, having a 50 to 60 hour a week job, which is a job, that's a lot of hours worked, and making, decent money, to starting their own businesses, working 70, 80 hours a week or more and making less money, but still making that choice. And so we have to understand what drives that, so we can really harness that and utilize that to get the best of the best out of the bunch and give them the environment that they really want to live in and thrive in. So what do people want? This is like, okay, they want to make more money, you think. That's the first one. But really, when we dive in, and there's tons and tons of studies right now, what they really want is more meaning, more purpose. They want to make sure that the time they spend at work is spent purposeful, is spent meaningful, that they feel like what they're doing is making an impact in the world. And then the other thing is, when they've been working a gazillion hours before, a lot of people who left the workforce left because they felt completely burned out and tired and completely separated from what they were doing. So they wanted a sense of balance, which, one might argue is not what you find when you open your own business. But a huge aspect of everything, the common denominator here, is that people wanted to leave being dependent and having no choice, which as business owners gives us a tremendous amount of opportunity to make that actually work for us. Because when you think about, like I said before, when you own your own business, you're going to work longer hours, you're going to make more money. You're going to work longer hours and make less money, especially in the beginning, than you probably were when you had a job. But what you will have is more choice. So part of what we're setting up here is making sure that whoever we hire would love our vision and mission, because people have to love what they do. They have to find purpose in their work, or they will not stay, especially now. Also, it has to come from a place of not obligation, as in, I get paid, so I have to do this. If I don't do this, I'm going to get fired, or whatever it goes on in people's minds and lives. It has to be a choice. I choose to do this. When you think about when somebody puts in extra effort, when they go the extra mile, when it's an obligation, they're never going to do it as well as somebody who actually sees the purpose in this and is driving this as their own choice. So they have to have their own choice in place. And part of that is, when you have your own business, what makes it super attractive is because you achieve your own goals, not somebody else's. So as business owners, when we help people achieve their goals within our business, that actually works. Now, not everybody is an entrepreneur. So tons and tons and tons of those people who left and started their own businesses, they're already finding that it wasn't quite what it was cracked up to be. So now we also have not just the great resignation, the quiet quitting, and the great reset, but we also have the great change, as in people coming back to or back into the workforce, the great regret, let's call it that, because it didn't really work out. So not everybody is an entrepreneur, and we know that. And that's just how it is. There's a lot of risk-taking, there's a lot of grit, there's a lot of ambiguity involved in being an entrepreneur, and that's just not everybody's cup of tea. But the Great Reset, restructuring this entire thought process, has really presented business owners like you, like me, with an enormous opportunity. There's never been a better time to get A players on your team. And you might wonder, how do I do that when it's so hard to find the right people? Well, you have to be the opposite of what they're expecting or what they actually went away from. So when we start this from a perspective of what's good for people is also good for the business, we have a whole lot more choice and a whole lot more opportunity, because the people you really want, you want the ones who are entrepreneurial. You want the ones who are the entrepreneurially thinking people, right? So you want self-starters, you want people who are actually invested in their own growth, in their own reality. So you might be thinking about, how will we get to that? And hang in there with me, because this might sound counterintuitive, but it has to be a partnership. And I'm not talking about an economic partnership. I'm talking about the thought partnership. So to get people to show up, really start getting strategic, think, go the extra mile, go above and beyond, all that has to mean that they're invested in what they're doing. So when it's like being a thought partner in exchange for instance, an hourly wage is a tough ask. So you might just go, oh, that's impossible. The people I employ, they're labor, hourly, frontline, whatever, they don't show up like that. Well, what I want to encourage you and challenge you to do is don't say it's impossible, but get strategic about this, because getting strategic about this to make this possible is your job. Because what we want them to do is we want them to help improve our profit margins, and we want them to be in a team that runs like a well-oiled machine, where operational friction is extremely low. Now, we can't expect any of this unless we give them the support, the tools, and the right mandate, the right direction, the right incentives to actually get there. So this starts with making sure that your team actually has all the information. And it is mind-boggling to me how many people work inside businesses and they have no idea what the business vision is, where the business is going, what the long-term plan is, how their job, however big or small, fits into the whole, and what the impact is of what they're doing. So it's really easy to get disconnected from building tiny little widgets. But it's a whole lot more possible to be connected and invested in building tiny little widgets when you realize how those widgets fit into a whole and make a huge impact. And that's the piece that we need to give people, otherwise they will not show up at a high level. So we need to give them the right information that can help them be a part of the whole. So that's giving them the big picture, being really clear And look, I say this over and over and over, and I'll never stop saying it. Like, there's a huge difference between having a vision and being able to articulate it in a way where your team really understands, hey, what does this mean to me? How do I fit into this big picture? What does it mean? How does the outcome look eventually? So there's many, many different ways of writing a vision, and most do not do the job. So getting the structure right, and our clients do an incredible job with their visions, and getting the vision right makes an insane difference in their businesses. So giving them that big picture, that vision that helps them understand how they fit into the whole and what the impact is that they're making. And then also, this is the other part that's counterintuitive for a lot of people, you have to help them understand the business economics. If people don't understand how their tiny little widget, how much it costs to build it, how much it costs to ship it, how much it costs to get to the customer, all they see is huge amount of money is being made and I'm being paid $15 an hour or whatever it is. So business economics are super important for any of your employees to understand, so that they can make the right decisions, that they understand the whole of the business, that they understand how they can help reduce costs and how to help improve the bottom line, and what benefit is in it for them to do that. Because that's that next piece of, like, when they understand how their role can impact the economics of the business, they can make two choices. I don't care, or I'm going to be on track, I'm going to be on board to helping with that, making that better, improving it, innovating, doing all that kind of stuff. This could just be like, if you own a restaurant, your line cooks, they could be throwing out twice the amount of food than is necessary. Or, like, I mean, you understand what I'm saying. People can make many, many, many choices that can improve your business tremendously, or they can not make that choice because they don't care. So we have to give them the understanding how they impact the economics. And then, of course, why should they care? Anytime you ask anybody to think more, to go the extra mile, to do something out of the ordinary, to go above and beyond, they have to understand, hey, what's my benefit for doing this? And, I already hear everybody going, but I can't pay people more, I'm already paying, blah, blah, blah. All that is not necessarily about money. And sometimes it is. But you have to put it on balance. Do you want, when people help you improve the bottom line, how much more could you pay them and still have a win-win situation on both sides? So before you say it's impossible, look at how it is possible, because it is. We see it over and over and over. So we have to help them understand what their benefit is for doing this. So, there's different ways of doing that, and I'll talk about that in a second. But what we're really going for is empowering our team, our employees, to make better choices, to think more, to be strategic, to innovate, and to be creative, because that's really what we're going for. When somebody isn't given this information and this challenge, it's very easy to just do what you do because that's what you do every single day. You don't think about it, you don't improve it, you don't do anything, because that's just what you do, and it doesn't matter. But it doesn't have to be that way. And when it's not that way, that's when you can really take a decent company and make it great. That's what from good to great really takes, is a thinking team of people who could be entrepreneurs, but they're choosing to work with you. So we need to empower our employees, our team, to do that. They have to understand that their ideas matter. So when they contribute, they have to get acknowledgement. They have to be rewarded. And that does not mean always money. That can be as little as you spending some time with them, going to have a coffee with them, taking interest in them, making a human connection with them, being seen. It's a huge human need, is significance. Feeling heard, being seen, understanding and believing that you matter. And that's what we're going for. So they have to understand that their ideas matter, because otherwise they're not going to contribute them. And then what's my benefit from contributing these ideas? And that could be anything from more time off, more flexibility in time. Like flexibility is a huge thing that people are going for right now. Being able to be remote, or being able to have some sort of hybrid situation, being able to shift hours around. Like some companies implement things like 4 10-hour work days instead of 5 8-hour work days to give people more opportunity, have more time off. So there's many different opportunities that can satisfy that need. That's not just money. And of course, people do like money, and they do need money, and people want to make more money. So you have to look at it again. When people show up like that and they help me improve my business above and beyond their job description, what's it worth it for me to have that happen? That's still a win-win situation for the business and the team member. So part of why this happens is when we set up our culture in a way where creativity, innovation, and improvement and fun with that is part of the job. So this is where we have to help them become thinkers, because a lot of people come into our employment and they're not used to that. They have never been asked for this. They have never been challenged to do this. This was, in a lot of companies, this is not welcome. It's not welcome to contribute. So you have to set the expectation and the understanding that this is not just welcome, it's expected, it's appreciated, and has huge value. So part of that is pay them for their ideas, pay them for process improvement. So when you see something that is above and beyond, that makes a big difference to your bottom line, share the wealth. And for them to understand, when they go above and beyond, they get a cut of that. So part of that is to make sure that people have a platform where they can actually bring these type of ideas to the table. So your culture may include structured brainstorming sessions on a regular basis, where people understand that not just the wish, but the expectation part of the job is to show up and contribute and have ideas and engage and be a part of that machine that does better, or part of that culture that does better. So they have to understand that it is expected, that this is part of the job, that it is very respected when they do that. And there's a structure there. There's a structure in the business that helps them to be encouraged to do that. So that's how they think more. That's how they engage more. That's how they love what they do. That's how they have more purpose. And that's how they show up at a wholly different level than what most businesses have right now. So right back to where we started, this is how people have more meaning, how they make more money, how they have more balance, so that actually working with you is a better choice than building their own businesses or going work somewhere else. So I hope all this makes sense. If this is something you want to know more about, we have a brand new training out there right now. That's at bulletproofbusinessgrowth.com/leap. bulletproofbusinessgrowth.com/leap. Go over there, check out the training, and I will talk to you soon.